VP of the Physical Education Division for ASAHPERD, and I wanted to welcome you guys to our town hall / webinar. We are having just a tiny bit of technical difficulty with the videos. We had hoped that the different panelists that will be speaking and presenting information today would have our video up, but we weren't able to quite get that taken care of. So bear with us. This is hopefully the first of a few of these that we will have, and then we will hopefully get some of the kinks and different things like that worked out. I think my dogs have already barked in the background once or twice, so I apologize in advance if that happens. But again, my name is Michael James, and I have been teaching at Woodmead Elementary School. In the fall, hopefully, I will begin my 17th year as a physical education teacher. We're a K-5 school in Decatur, Alabama. I wanted to start out letting you know that I'm going to be the facilitator of this, which basically just means I'm going to be trying to keep us on track as far as time is concerned, and I'll kind of open us up and close us. And there are many people that kind of led to this town hall and webinar happening. We had our lovely Miss Ginger Aaron, who is the technical guru. Excuse me real quick. The lovely Miss Ginger is our technical guru, and she's working on this, and as well as our executive board, who wanted to be sure that we offered services to our members, and they thought that this would be a great idea. We wanted to come up with a way to offer services to our members. Excuse me. So we thought that this town hall would be a good way to do that. And so just a couple more kind of housekeeping things, and then I'm going to quickly turn it over to other talented people as well. Continuing with the thoughts on ASAHPERD, if you are not a member of ASAHPERD, we would highly recommend that you become one, and that you will consider becoming one. It is a wonderful organization to be a part of. I've learned a lot over the years. If you are already a member, then we would just hope that you will continue to be a member and to support the things that we do. And if you're not a member, we hope that you will consider joining and becoming one, and we'll also seek out other colleagues and peers so that they can become members as well, so that we can grow our membership, which is going to only make the different things that we put together better and better. Many of you are probably aware that we will not be having a excuse me, an in-person fall conference like we're accustomed to attending and enjoying. I know many of us, the conferences that we attend are highlights of our year. They allow us to recharge our batteries and recharge and get ready and come back with new ideas and games and strategies. And while we will not be doing that in person, we do want you to know that there are people who are working to make sure that we provide ongoing professional development via virtual conferences in the future. And the reason we're doing that is because, as many of you are aware of, there's a lot of unanswered questions regarding what physical education is going to look like for the fall. A lot of us are expecting updates from our schools and our administration so that we can have a better idea of what those things are supposed to look like in the fall. And there's a lot of unanswered questions, and so that makes us nervous. And we wanted this to be an opportunity for us to share some of the information that we have and the ideas that we have, so that we will all hopefully be on the same page, and we can all be advocates for quality physical education as we go forward. We don't have all the answers. No one here claims to have all the answers. Every school system, every school district is different. But instead, what we want to do, we don't want to turn this into a gripe session. We want this to be an opportunity for us to share and encourage and lift each other up and offer resources to help navigate and deal with these uncertain times and everything that's going to come our way. As I did mention, this was a town hall originally, and it had been converted to a webinar, which will mean that you guys will not be able to talk back. We do have several presiders or presenters who are going to be speaking, and they will be able to communicate. If you do have a question that comes up during the webinar or during the town hall, Ms. Ginger will be moderating that chat, and if we can, we'll get that question answered during this town hall and during this webinar. But if not, we will try to do our best to do it when we come back together with these again. And because of that, we want to go ahead and announce that we're going to do this again in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, Monday, July 27th, 2020, at 6 p.m. And so really that's all the information that I have to share with you at this time. And like I said, all I'm supposed to do is keep us on track as far as time is concerned, tell you how thankful I am that you're all here. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Ginger.
Hey everyone. It may show on your screen that I am Donna Hester, and while she is on this webinar, I am actually logged into the ASAHPERD account. So when it says that Donna Hester is talking, this is actually Ginger Aaron Brush, who teaches at Pelham Oaks Elementary School. We wanted to provide this, like Michael said, because we want you to know that ASAHPERD is working for you. We are certainly behind the scenes in a lot of the things that we do. And the executive committee and the board is working to keep physical education in the forefront despite the uncertainty in the upcoming year. So we certainly thank you all for being here. If you know someone that wasn't able to take part in this webinar, we will be recording it and we will be sending that out in the days to come. So with that said, let me jump in and get started. And I wanted to speak a little bit about ASAHPERD's Back to School recommendation document. You might have received that document through email if you're an ASAHPERD member, or you might have seen it pop up through social media. I want to give you a little bit of background of how that document came to be. Like I said, the executive committee and the advocacy committee of ASAHPERD has really been working behind the scenes to try to stay relevant. So several weeks ago, we had an opportunity to meet via Zoom with Superintendent Mackey. And we had several questions for him in terms of the upcoming year. But one of the main questions that we asked was, you know, what is physical education going to look like in the upcoming year? We asked him, is physical education a priority? And he assured us that physical education is certainly important to him. It's certainly important to the State Board of Education. And that although it may look a little bit different in the upcoming year, that he is very aware of the physical benefits of physical education, and he is very aware of the mental and social piece of physical education. So I can confidently say that Superintendent Mackey is intentional in seeing that physical education plays a prominent role, as it always has. As we met with him, we asked, you know, as an organization of members, we are a member-driven organization. We asked, you know, how could we assist? What could we do? And he said, you know, that we are the professionals in this, and that he would appreciate anything that we had to offer. And so in terms of the back to school recommendation document that ASAHPERD put out, I do want to highlight a few things. First of all, it is a working document, meaning that this document may undergo many updates in the days ahead. There is a team of people who are working to add health education information. So just bear with us as we push that out, but it is a working document. And you can see in this 8-page document, you can see what the contents are and the areas that we wanted to focus on. Now, I'm not going to go into each of those. We're going to let our panelists speak to the things that they felt were important. But I want to make sure that you know how to access this document, because this is an essential piece of information that you need to put in the hands of your administrators. If your school leaders, if your principals, if your superintendents, your board members have not had a chance to see this document, we encourage you to make it accessible for them, to show them how they can locate it. This document is part of Superintendent Mackey's roadmap. It is one of the resources that is hyperlinked in that document. So there is a chance that your administrators have already had a chance to see it. But if not, let us take just a minute to show you where that is accessible. On the ASAHPERD website, and our website is asapherd.org. Once you use your internet browser to go to asapherd.org, this is the page that you will come to. If you scroll down, you will see several tabs of things that are important and relevant now. This information changes continuously. But in that first button, there is the back to school recommendations button. So by clicking on that, you will be linked to the PDF version of the document. I also want to make you aware, if you haven't worked your way through this document, at the end of it, there is a list of resources, and these resources are hyperlinked, so you can easily go to other organizations or other websites, other areas that can give you some helpful and beneficial information as we move forward with physical education in this COVID world. As we were creating this document, we certainly reached out to other state organizations. We were seeking guidance from those who had already put out this type of information. So we know that each day is different, and with each coming day, new information comes out. So just again, know that this is a working document and is something that we feel is really essential for your administrators to have their hands on. So with that said, Michael, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, good deal. Thank you so much, Ms. Ginger. Next up, we're going to have Becky Peterson and Cindy O'Brien. Most of you are probably familiar with these names. These are two great physical education teachers, and I'm excited for what they're going to share. They're going to share with us some thoughts concerning elementary physical education. Becky and Cindy, I'll turn it over to you, ladies.
Thank you, Michael. This is Becky Peterson, and I am an elementary PE teacher at Rocky Ridge Elementary in Hoover, Alabama. And Cindy and I have kind of broken up what we're going to talk about, so we're both going to be covering the elementary portion of this. But one of the first things I wanted to say is that we are going to have to use a lot of patience this year. We're trying to figure out what to do. Our administrators are trying to figure out, parents, students, we're all trying to figure it out. So we're probably going to make some mistakes this year, and that's okay. Try to move on and see what we can do. But just remember to have patience with yourself and with administrators. I can tell you my own administrator has taken a look at that document that was shared from Mackie, and so being able to go in and have a discussion with my administrator has been huge. One of the first things I want to talk about, we've kind of set a little agenda for Cindy and I, is talking about how to socially distance in PE. So I know for us, what we're thinking about doing is we've always done PE addresses where we have streets and avenues. A lot of schools do that. It works well to help put them in a spot. We are going to have to be adjusting those to be maintain that 6 feet of distance for everyone. We will be removing a few rows if we can. Our class sizes have gone down a little bit. We were able to talk to our administrator and get an estimate of how many students will be participating in school from home. And so giving us an idea of about how many students will be in the gym. And so we're going to go adjust all of our spots. And this year I will be putting markings on the floor, which I usually don't do because kids usually can look at the walls for the signs. But we're going to put markings on the floor so it's easier for us and for them. And so that way we can remind them to get back on their PE address or their spot. And then going outside whenever we can. We do still have to maintain distance is what we're hearing right now when we go outside. So making sure. I do know with our school, our outside space, our outdoor space has been cut down a little bit because they do want to still have recess. And so they have taken a little bit of the space that we usually use. But I see the value in getting those kids outside for recess and that they need a distance. So we're going to be flexible and give up a little bit. So in their PE addresses, there's some units that we're going to try to do that require minimal equipment. We are going to be having 5 minutes in between classes to help clean the equipment. They're giving us a sprayer and will be providing us with a disinfectant that we can spray on equipment in between each class. So a student will be able to use a piece of equipment, and then only that student will use it. There's no sharing. When they put it up at the end, then we will spray everything and be able to walk around and spray what we need to. So that's what we're going to do. But some of the units that we've thought about doing, and Cindy and I just made up a list too. So I'm sure you guys have a lot of things you want to add to it too. We're going to do some drum fit. We like the fitness drumming, your dance unit, jump rope unit, basketball skills, tennis ball and tennis skills, soccer skills, hula hoops, juggling, using pool noodles for different activities. Let's see, using balloons or beach balls, paper plates, paper cones. Our favorite, I know you all love this one too, the cone or water bottle flipping, using dice, cup stacking, and fishing were some of the ones that we came up with. We know that we're going to have to make some adjustments. I know our school, for instance, usually did a station day on Wednesday, but obviously that's going to be out because of the sharing of equipment. I see the question about max temperatures you can take students out. Ours is, I think it was like 90, 94 degrees, but we also have to watch out for ozone alert days. So August, we will most likely be inside just like we normally are. And so that's what's important, to have those spots on the floor to help remind people of where to go. I also see about how many students are in my class. We have between 40 and 70 this year because we've had to break things up. My coworker and I gave up our lunch times together so that one of us teaches while the other one eats lunch, and we have an aide come in to help. So we are going to do that. And Dr. Hester answered that question. It is 90. Very good. All right. So entering and exiting the gym during our COVID time, it's going to be important to make sure we do have 2 doors. So entering is through one door and exiting through the other door, making sure that we're trying to limit those interactions. Let's see. Reading some of y'all's questions. All right, yeah, peeling up the little floor. Yeah, we typically have done the electrical tape like most people do. I also have used the window paint that you use to paint car windows, and that stays on until there's a wet mop that goes across it. So look at doing that. So make sure that we use those things. I'm also looking at some stickers that I call it the Zamboni, could go over and not come up, but I also don't want to ruin the floor. So I'm looking at getting some things for those.
Miss Becky, remember that you may not be able to answer every question. So some of these questions might have to get written down, jotted down, and we'll work on answers for them. I know you were trying to answer questions, but you may not, they're starting to roll in pretty quick. So you may not be able to answer every one of them.
And I'm trying to write some down. This is Jamie. I'm trying to take notes for the next session.
Perfect.
And that's great. Everyone who can hear me, as many questions as you want. Just keep in mind that we may not have an answer live, but we will get back to you. And I'll turn it back over to Miss Becky. Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you. That definitely helps a lot. All right, so we will get back to those questions. All right, so we also are going to do, to help have more things that we can do, our school utilizes the HEAL program. So having a day to focus on HEAL activities or individual health and fitness and nutrition goals is going to be a little bit more integrated this year. So making sure we're taking time with that. We also, some schools are able to work on either meditation or breathing focuses to come in and do that. And I know our state goes back and forth on yoga, so we can stretch and work on those in our self space. And also, this is a great time to incorporate a lot of social emotional learning. I know we talk about it a lot, but this is a time where these kids are needing that more than ever. So being able to include that and some of those skills in our lessons while they're in their space. But I know for us, just getting the kids into the gym, our administrator was aware that we could, come up with lesson plans to give to the classroom teachers, for them to help facilitate. And we said we'd rather have the kids in the gym, even if they have to stand on their spot, even if they can't move around as much as we'd hoped. They can at least be in their spot and get active there and be able to see their friends, because these kids need to be able to see them. They will be wearing masks. My school has stated if you move, you mask. So if they're at their classroom desk, then they could have their mask off. But if they get up to turn in a piece of paper, they would have to put it on. So anytime they are in the hallway or in the gym, then they have to be wearing their mask. So that is their rule. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Cindy O'Brien for the second half.
Hey everyone, I'm Cindy O'Brien. I teach at Hueytown Intermediate School. We're in the process of a building project, so I won't have outside space this year, as they'll be tearing our old building down because we're on the same property. So I'm going to kind of piggyback off what Becky said, but I will focus a lot on social emotional learning, which I do anyway. But if you haven't checked it out, Open and the American Heart Association have a great social emotional learning session that's free online, and you really need to go and watch that, because it's extremely good. It gives you some great ideas to do with your kids, because I agree with Becky. I think our kids are going to come back either really good because they've been with their families for this extended amount of time and they've learned some life lessons like riding bikes and how to tie their shoes and how to, have picnics and make sandwiches and things like that. Or they're going to come back to us traumatized, some of them, because they've been in bad situations and they're going to really need us to help them express their emotions. I think that's very important for us to remember. One of the things that we talked about was possibly allowing the students to have their own personal bag of equipment. You can do that with little laundry bags and put maybe just a few essential things in there, like a jump rope, a tennis ball, some different things. When we go back to March and start thinking about all of the home videos that were done through Google Classroom, Zoom, WebEx, however you were able to teach your kids, we used a lot of homemade items like sock balls and things that they had. So I would encourage you to allow your students to make some homemade things, maybe take a milk carton, cut the top off and make scoops, and then they could have a scoop and a ball, and that would give you an activity to do, because we're going to have to work in our, our own personal space for a lot of our time this year. I kind of believe in, not reinventing the wheel, working smarter, not harder. So I'm going to throw out some YouTube channels that you really should check out if you have a projector. You can find a lot of great ideas and things to use with your kids using a projector. But one name that you might want to jot down is Brandon Herwick, Herwick. And he does a lot of activities where you have 3 different levels or 3 different challenges, and the kids have choice. A lot of our Active at Home Open has a lot of activities that you could use in case maybe we're broadcasting from the gym to the classroom, or possibly, if we get shut down or we don't start on time and we're broadcasting from home. Because I know my county didn't require a lot from PE during the shutdown. This time it will be different. So I think it will probably for all of us, because we've learned a lot and I think we're more prepared this time. Be Well Played is another YouTube channel, and he has uses a lot of level up challenges that are really good. So that might be one that you would want to look at. Let's see. Kevin Tiller, he's another good YouTube channel. He has what's called Super 7, but he takes individual pieces of equipment and he has 7 different tasks. I'll set to music, I'll set to a timer. And so those are things that you wouldn't have to recreate, that you could use. Glenn Higgins Fitness, Randy Spring, Ben Landers, you guys remember him from Fall Conference, but he has lots of great ideas and activities. Open has really expanded in the last few months. The ideas and the units of instruction that they have, and they have a whole at-home series that could be used. I was watching in our summer virtual conference today, the Scholastics session. If you haven't watched that, you ought to go check it out. But you know that Sandy Slade has done a whole virtual learning session that you can use with your kids, like from the gym to the classroom or from home. So she has a whole virtual thing. Another one is Coach Meager, Meger. Of course, Jim DeLine, you guys have heard of him. He's been at our fall conference. Hip Hop Health. The Dancers. It's a group of PE guys that dance, but especially with a dance, and those are good activities that you can kind of stay in your space and do. We're going to have to get creative and find activities where we can use minimal or no equipment. But so I know somebody asked earlier about, you know, what happens when the ball rolls away or whatever, and those things are going to happen. Some of those things can't be avoided, but we'll have to do the best we can. And we're going to, like Becky said, we'll mess up, we'll make some mistakes, but we'll have to adjust. And I think things like this are good so that we can share out our ideas and talk. So that's all I have right now.
All right, thank you, ladies. I really appreciate the wealth of information. As we transition to middle and high school, I will also add that you can make sure to go to Twitter. If you're not using Twitter, I know that Cindy would agree with me, and Becky and Ginger and several of the others. I get so many resources from Twitter, and I think that you would be shocked at how many great things come across, and it's all adaptable. Everybody is willing to share with everyone. So please make sure to get onto Twitter, even if it's just for physical education ideas, and a lot of these are on there as well. And but make sure you also follow ASAHPERD, because we are trying to expand our social media appearance as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Laura Vines and Autumn Smith.
Hey guys, I am Laura Vines, and I currently teach at Liberty Middle School in Madison City Schools. And yeah, so I'm going to kind of piggyback, I guess, a little bit off of elementary. I think some of us were talking about the markings on the floor. I've always used painter's tape, and mainly kind of switching gears, athletics. So I've always taught in the middle school. So the painter's tape is easy to get off the gym floor. I do recommend, I saw someone put on the chat about the fingernail polish, and that is a great idea, but I will say I had a problem with it just from the athletic standpoint, is I took up some of the varnish. So I've always used painter's tape. But I guess the biggest thing for middle school and high school is the dressing out, and that is not something that is recommended. I know my school, we will not be dressing out. We've also looked at it. They've recommended to kind of lower the class time down, and we've tried to look at it. There are some times where we have like 120 to 150 kids in the gym at the same time. So we have about an hour and 15 minutes. If we split them, that would cut down the amount of kids. So we've talked about if we sit one group on the bleachers, bring one group out, and then swap. I know it's not ideal, but we're just trying, we just kind of threw that out there. So that might be something we can, talk about. We do have extra time between classes, so for the cleaning, and then, if we split them in 2 different groups, we would have the time to clean between each group. Same as elementary, we're going to go outside as much as possible. It's just, when you have 150 kids in one gym, that's, going outside is probably our best bet. We are going to really utilize pre-recorded videos. That can be of ourselves, that can be of other physical education teachers. And I'm huge. I love YouTube workout videos. The Tabata workout videos are big, something that I use a lot. It talks about in our framework the heart rate. Getting the kids 6 feet apart. I'm going to be putting markers down, just like they were talking about with elementary. I usually don't use the markers. I usually don't have to tell them. We just put them in the rows. They know where to go. But I am going to put those down for the 6 feet, and then utilizing them, checking their heart rate. We have heart rate monitors, but obviously we'll be using it. We can teach them, the 2 ways of doing that, and utilizing Google Classroom. That's going to be huge for myself to create a Google Classroom. Our students, we're fortunate enough that they pretty much all have cell phones or Chromebooks, and so we will be utilizing that a lot. Using QR codes, they can pull those up on the Google Classroom, using worksheets for seeing their heart rate. Doing the same thing as elementary, we're going to have to utilize both doors. Typically they would go in and out of one set of doors, whereas now they're going to be entering one door, exiting a different door. The grouping, we have talked about, I know I said 2 different groups because we have such a large class, if you have 150, and then the time frame, so 2 different groups, but we also talked within that 2 different groups, if we're doing anything with basketballs and things, they would have their own set of equipment, but kind of rotating them through maybe at each goal, but having them in groups of no larger than 10. So then when we transition, they'll keep their ball and everything, but maybe do a different skill at each goal for basketball. So they'll always be within that group of 10. And I did that. I coach volleyball, and we've done that through athletics all of June and now July. We've kept them consistent in the same group working together. That way, if one child tests positive, we notify them all, but that specific group of 10, since they were in such close knit with someone that may or may not have tested positive. Some games and ideas: soccer, the basketball, fitness stations. I teach fitness at my school, so we kind of break ours up into 6th grade, just general PE, outdoor, indoor, and then I strictly teach fitness, and then we have another one that teaches strength and conditioning. So we do a lot of fitness stations. We do a lot that we move around, but within their squad lines, they're 6 feet apart. There's tons of exercises that don't require equipment. And so my suggestion for that would be, pick 5 exercises. You do each of them for, 45 seconds to a minute. You do 3 rounds. You have a cool down, you have your warm up. So that would be something that you could utilize. So, and I guess I just want to say too, me starting with athletics, we started in June, and we've been doing workouts and all the things. Thankfully, we have not had a positive case during my volleyball team, but just staying positive, just knowing that these students, I think they're eager to come and see, especially the PE teachers. We have fun with them. We build relationships with them. Not that they don't in the classroom, but we have so much fun with them. And so I just be confident and be caring, stay positive. Just make sure you still are connecting with them. My school, we have to we're under a mandatory mask in our district in Madison County. So our students, teachers have to wear masks, but just make sure you're staying positive and uplifting, because I think that they are more eager to come to school than probably ever, since they've been out for so long. So I guess that's about all I have. I don't really see questions. Let's see. You have 150 for an hour and 15 minutes. Yes, we have 5 blocks at my school, so we're off 1. And so we have them for about an hour, and gosh, I'd have to go back and look. But yes, there's about 120 to 150 in there at a time. And then will you be crossing classes within your groups, or trying to group the students within the same class? Within the same class. So like if I have, say I have 100 kids in one class, I would split that. We're just talking about this. So 50-50. So 50 would sit on the bleachers, 50 would, do a 30-minute, probably end up being 25-minute class. And then you would just clean and disinfect and all the things, and then you would switch them again, because what we're gonna run into is we do not have enough equipment for that amount of kids to each have their own basketball or each have their own this or that. And so then within that group of 50, group them in groups of 10. And yes, you can create the fitness video. QR codes are huge. I love QR codes. The kids love them. That's how I teach them to do the warm up. They create their own warm up and own cool down, and then we do them as a class. So the reasoning for not dressing out, locker room, I think, is probably the biggest reason. We all dress out at the same time. So any given class, you have 50 to 70 kids in there dressing out at the same time. So the reasoning behind the dressing out is them all being in a small, close knit. I mean, we don't even have enough lockers for all of our students. So they actually put their stuff in a locker. They bring a lock from home, they lock it up, and they take it back and forth every day. So we don't have the time or adequate, spacing to disinfect after every class if we had to go into the locker room. Somebody might want to answer that a little bit better than what I just did, but I would say that was the biggest reasoning behind not dressing out. We are not buying more equipment. The biggest thing for that is the uniforms. That is our biggest fundraiser. So we're not going to have hardly any extra money. Well, we're not at all. We typically buy all of our equipment at the end of the year with the money that we raise, because we require our students to buy the uniforms. We will not be using our locker rooms at all. We're actually going to shut the doors and lock them. So we're very fortunate that we have a girls and boys restroom right outside our gym that's next to our concession stand for athletics. So that is the bathroom that we are going to use. So the locker rooms are actually off limits. We haven't used them at all, even through athletics this summer. They're not allowed to go in there at all. So that kind of leads to another, I guess, issue, if you will. We will have our bleachers out on one side, so that kind of limits us to even less space, because they'll have to put their book bags up on the bleachers. Dr. Hester, that was a good point. Dressing out taking too much time. That's another good point, because we're going to be, adding the cleaning and extra time in between classes. So the dressing out is just too much time. You'd have to go in, I guess, 10 at a time, the 6 feet apart. It's just not something that's feasible at my school. I don't believe. That could change, but I can't imagine that would change.
All right, thank you so much, Laura. Was that the end of everything that you had? We're going to turn it over to Autumn now, or are we ready for the next little section?
I think we are ready for the next session. The next section. Autumn and I worked closely together. we've both been in and out on vacation, so we are good.
All right, good deal. Thank you so much, ladies, for again for your presentation and your information. Thank you for your hard work. So we are kind of to the point now where we had built in some time with myself and Jamie Giangrosso to go over some of the questions. And again, like I said, some of those might not be answered tonight, but this would be a good time for you to type out those questions, for us to jot those down and log those down, so that when we come back in 2 weeks, a couple of things can happen. Number one, we can maybe answer some of those questions with a little more authority. And then number two, I bet we will all know a little more about how school is going to look in the fall, and specifically about physical education. So we'll take this time to submit those questions. And I believe Jamie is logging those down. And I think we did mention also that we're recording this session also. And so we will have access to those. So this is a good time to ask those questions.
I am writing everything down and trying to take note. I think it's best for everybody to understand that most of this stuff is going to be a system by system decision. So I am now assistant principal at Moody Elementary. What we're doing at Moody is going to be different than what other schools are doing. So we can all talk about what is going on at our school, but ultimately most of the decisions are going to come from your local admin. Now we, can also give all kinds of ideas. I just hope that everybody understands that what is happening at one school may or may not be happening at another.
And Jamie, I'll add on to that about what Laura said about being positive. You're going to probably be thrown challenges that you have never seen before. You are going to have to think more critically and creatively than you ever have. But I do think it's important for us to remember to do everything in our power to teach the course of study. We have a course of study. It has been recently revamped, and hopefully that document is guiding your instruction each and every day. But we're going to have to document what we're doing. It's going to have to be reflected in our lesson plans and different things like that. And remember that when a standard is mentioned in the course of study, you can teach that standard in a number of ways. You can teach that standard with a number of games, a number of pieces of equipment, a number of ideas, but that we do have a course of study that we are supposed to be following, that we are supposed to be utilizing, that is supposed to drive our instruction every day. And I'll add this as well, and I'm not trying to talk more than I'm supposed to. Make sure that you are an advocate for yourself. Make sure that you are doing everything you can to promote your program and to demonstrate what quality physical education is. I know that your administrators will appreciate it. I know that your coworkers will appreciate it. And it is going to take extra work, and it is going to take extra effort. You might have to get out into the community and try to figure out how you can drum up support from local business to get the equipment that you need and the extra basketballs and different things that you need. But I know how many great physical education teachers there are and health professionals there are in the state of Alabama, and I know that we can definitely do that. I think that is all of the information that we have to share. Questions might continue to roll in. Did any of our other panelists have anything else that they wanted to mention before we close things up? As you see on the screen here, we do have that second Town Hall Part 2. That's going to be Monday, July 27th. I mentioned that at the beginning, and we will again try to adhere to that 6 to 7 p.m. schedule. We look like we might finish a few minutes early tonight, and that's okay. We want to respect your time. But we are so thankful. Again, Jamie hit the nail on the head. It's going to be different for all of us, but keep your head up, be positive, and remember, as Cindy said, some of our babies don't have good home life situations, and they have been in those situations for 3 months longer than they ever expected to. And so I know a lot of our students are anxious to get back to their safe place, which is their school. And thank you so much for what you guys do. Did any of our other panelists or speakers have anything to say?
I would like to say something. I saw someone had posted on the chat about gloves, and I guess what is your take on that, Michael? Can we discuss that or no? So I coach volleyball, and I've been going all of June and then July. And I have not worn gloves, and I'll tell you my reasoning, but we've worn face masks, but the gloves are another thing for me. I love to wash my hands. I love to have hand sanitizer, but what are y'all going to do? Are y'all gonna wear gloves?
So I haven't been given any specific guidelines. Again, kind of piggybacking on what Jamie was saying, I haven't been given any specific guidelines of we are doing this, we are not doing this. Some of that has to do with our school system, I think, has just not made those announcements yet. Others has to do with the fact that we've got a new principal coming in, and she seems like she's going to be awesome, but I think everybody is just learning at the same time. I'm not 100% sure on masks or gloves or face shields or any of that kind of information. And for me, that's just going to be, I'm just going to have to get in there and sit down with my administrator and discuss things with her.
Sure. Okay.
I will tell this little tiny quick piece of information before we get going. We did get a new principal at our school, and as any principal would, when she was coming to our school, she got onto our Facebook page and started kind of looking around, trying to gather information from our school. And she saw all the videos that I had been posting from the quarantine. So I know that sometimes we kind of might feel like we're our own thing as physical education, but I think our administrators are watching and seeing what we do, and more than ever, we're going to have maybe some support that we haven't had in the past. And so, again, I just want everybody to be encouraged and uplifted and positive. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, but we can definitely get through this. And that's the last statement that I have. So I hope everybody has a pleasant evening. And if we can help you in any way, if you had any questions that you wanted to submit, but you maybe didn't want to do it in a public form, you could email those to asahperd.org@gmail.com. So again, that email address is asahperd.org@gmail.com. And you can see some of that information as well on this closing screen. But again, I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Michael, I do want to mention, if you do not follow us on social media, please do so. You can see our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram handles on the screen, as well as our website, because we are constantly pushing out relevant information. Also, I wanted to add, if you are on Twitter, the hashtag SDNPE is trending right now, with a lot of people putting out ideas on how to socially distance in a physical education setting. So if you are on Twitter, you may want to search that hashtag to get some ideas of how to incorporate socially distant activities within your class.
Hey, Ginger.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes, it's hashtag SDINPE. So it's SDNPE.
Hey, Ginger.
Yes.
This is Autumn. Before we go, for our middle and secondary people, our gyms and our classes often look so different as far as how much space we have and how big they are and so on and so forth. And we're all really in a process where it's a work in progress, because none of us have tried to do what we're about to do. And I know that we're all going to succeed, but we're all going to have a lot of questions come up. So the email address that Michael gave you, I really want to encourage you guys, as your questions come up, please shoot them over to the email, and we will try to have answers prepared and ready for you for that second town hall meeting that we have. Because at that point, we will all have been working to find these answers ourselves, and we will have also discovered that we have a lot more questions that we have not thought of.
Absolutely. And as many of you know, the CDC is issuing new guidelines or new guidance for schools this Friday. So things are certainly changing day by day, and we want to make sure that we keep everyone updated and that what we push out is relevant.
Ms. Ginger, do you know if the hashtag ALPhysEd, is that one that we should still be using as well?
Oh, absolutely. Feel free
Yeah.
to use that as we share things within Alabama.
And I would also like to add, if you guys find information, please share that with us, because more eyes looking for ideas is always helpful, because just as the board of directors, we don't have all the answers. We're looking just like you guys. So if you see something amazing, please share it. That way it helps everyone.
I just shared, someone asked for the Twitter email. The Twitter handle is ASAHPERD, at ASAHPERD, at ASAHPERD. The email is ASAHPERD, excuse me, I'm going to start over. The email is asapherdorg@gmail.com, ASAHPERDORG@gmail.com, and it's been typed out there in the chat as well. So I guess we will kind of bring this to a close. And again, thank you, everyone. This has been great, and we hope to get just as much support, if not more, for our second town hall. Thank you all for your participation, and have a great evening.